Christine, and in today's show, it's all about hurricanes. Stay tuned because we'll be giving you tips about food and first aid during a storm, how to prepare your home, what supplies you'll need, and how to protect your pets. We'll even be interviewing a well-known meteorologist. It's going to be a whirlwind of a show. Hi, my name is Selena.
And I'm Kyla.
In today's Strong segment, we're going to talk about the main things you should have in your first aid kit for a hurricane or disaster.
Some of these items are Tums, Listerine, batteries, and pain pills like aspirin or ibuprofen.
A box of assorted sizes of Band-Aids, rubbing alcohol, calamine lotion, a small bar of soap, a couple of flashlights, and water for treating dehydration. Here are more items that can keep you safe and healthy during hurricane season. It's important to stock up on some canned foods that can never go bad and that are good for you. Things like canned soup, vegetables, canned fruit, etc. Have some microwave oven dinners on hand in case you still have electricity.
Hope you have learned more about what you should have to be prepared for a hurricane. For Girl TV,
I'm Selena.
and I'm Kyla.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Madeline, and on today's Smart segment, we'll be helping you prepare your important items for a hurricane. The first thing you should do is get all your important family pictures that can't be replaced and burn them to a CD. If you're concerned about your privacy, you can even password protect the photo albums you don't want others to see. It's also a good idea to have a cell phone charger and a car charger until your power returns. Make sure that your insurance information is up to date. If you have questions about whether you're covered, ask your parents to call your insurance agent to explain your coverage. For renters, consider packing the things that are expensive to replace, like kitchen appliances, electronics, your computer, and don't forget about clothing. Take pictures of things you own and update a household inventory. Check online or the prices things are to replace. Also, make sure you check the local weather channel for regular hurricane track updates. I hope you take my tips and use them. For Girl TV, I'm Madeline. Bye!
Florida has quite a history with hurricanes. Because it's near the tropics and westerly winds blow off of the African coasts along the equator, Florida is quite vulnerable. So what are hurricanes? Hurricanes are severe tropical storms that form over warm ocean waters, usually starting as storms in the Caribbean or off the west coast of Africa. As the storms drift slowly westward, they gather heat and energy through contact with warm ocean waters. Evaporation from the seawater increases their power. Warm, moist air moves towards the center of the storm and spirals upward. This is similar to the dust devils that form on a hot afternoon along a sandy beach. Hurricanes rotate in a counterclockwise direction around an eye. The most violent part of a hurricane is at the edges of its eye, called the eye wall. Not only is it important to be prepared for a hurricane, but it's also a good idea to understand them. Hurricanes are defined as having winds of at least 74 miles per hour. They strengthen until they come in contact with land or cooler water. When they come onto land, the heavy rain, strong winds, and heavy waves can damage buildings, trees, and cars. The heavy waves are called a storm surge. Although the Army Signal Corps has been attempting to issue storm warnings as far back as 1873, there was no official tracking of hurricanes in the United States until 1890. Following a bad storm in 1899, a more comprehensive system was established. Today, the National Hurricane Center is located in Miami. Experts there are very busy during the Atlantic hurricane season from June 1st through to November 30th. Specially strengthened and electronically equipped aircraft are sent into the eye of a hurricane to help in the analysis of a hurricane's strength. If a hurricane is deemed a threat within 36 hours, the Hurricane Center issues a hurricane watch. This means they are tracking the storm and trying to predict where it may come ashore. When a hurricane watch is issued, it's important to stay tuned to the radio and television for more information. If a hurricane is expected within 24 hours, the Hurricane Center issues a hurricane warning. This means that people may be told to evacuate. In this event, anyone in the area should begin making preparations to leave. You may be wondering how hurricanes are named. Since 1953, Atlantic tropical storms have been named from lists produced by the National Hurricane Center. The Atlantic is assigned 6 lists of names, with 1 list used each year. Each name on the list starts with a different letter. The first hurricane of the season starts with the letter A, followed by B, and so forth alphabetically. When an unusually destructive hurricane hits, that hurricane's name is never used again. You may be wondering about some of Florida's worst hurricanes. We've compiled a list of some severe hurricanes and the damage they caused. In 1906, the worst hurricane in 170 years killed 100 railroad workers in the Keys. The eye passed over Miami and at least 34 people were killed when it reached the Pensacola area. In 1909, 1910, and 1919, a series of bad hurricanes hit the Keys. They damaged the 7-mile bridge and caused major damage in Key West. In 1921, the last major hurricane to hit Tampa and the Florida Central Coast caused over $1 million in damage. The storm passed across the state and exited at Jacksonville. In 1926, the eye passed over Miami. Wind gusts were estimated at 150 miles per hour. Most buildings in Dade and Broward counties were damaged or destroyed. There was major flooding of all coastal sections, downtown Miami and downtown Fort Lauderdale. The Okeechobee hurricane in 1928. The eye of the hurricane moved ashore near Palm Beach, causing widespread destruction. Nearly 2,000 people died when the dikes broke on Lake Okeechobee, causing massive flooding. The Florida Keys Labor Day hurricane in 1935. This was the strongest storm ever to hit the United States. The winds were estimated up to 250 miles per hour. This small but intense storm, Category 5, caused significant damage. Hundreds of World War I veterans who had been sent to the Keys to build the overseas railroads were killed. The storm surge floated an entire train away. In 1960, there was Hurricane Donna. This hurricane had 150-mile-per-hour winds. It caused major damage in the Florida Keys. Well-known Hurricane Andrew that hit in 1992. This hurricane hit Miami. It was the most costly natural disaster to hit a United States city in modern times. It caused $30 billion in damage. In 2005, Hurricane Katrina made landfall near the border of Broward and Miami-Dade counties on August 25th. It had sustained winds of around 80 miles per hour. 14 fatalities were reported in Florida due to Katrina. 2 of the deaths were from falling trees, 1 man crashed into a tree, 1 person died when his boat capsized, 1 when waves battered his boat. There were also traffic fatalities related to Katrina. Severe damage was left in its wake, and damage in Florida was estimated between $1 and $2 billion, with most of the damage coming from flooding and overturned trees. More than 1 million people were left without electricity. We hope you've learned a lot about hurricanes during this episode, why it's so important to be prepared, stay inside, and keep your eye on the storm. For Girl TV, I'm Charlotte. Bye!
Hi, I'm Mary.
And I'm Gina. As a part of today's Bold segment, we will be giving you some helpful tips on how to keep your yard safe right before the storm.
First, make sure all your shed doors are shut tightly and locked, or else they will be affected by the storm and become unattached.
Your second step is to check your yard and make sure it is free of any loose materials that you want to keep. Otherwise, they will be blown away.
If you have a garage, make sure your car or cars are parked safely inside. If you don't, they can become damaged and exposed to natural disasters that come with the storm.
Next, check your garden for any plants that may be tall enough to fall or break in the wind.
For all of you viewers with pools, be very sure that you have your cover on the pool and make sure it is secure. If you don't own a pool cover, go out and purchase one.
If you own any fruit trees or vegetable plants, be sure to harvest the fruits and veggies, because during the storm, the winds might take them away.
If you live close to a body of water, such as Siesta Key Beach, you might want to evacuate somewhere further away from the shore or body of water.
For Girl TV, I'm Gina.
And I'm Mary.
Bye!
Hi, my name is Faith.
And I'm Julian.
For this segment, we will be talking about preparing your pet for a hurricane.
Here are some things that you can do now to get started on preparing your pet for a hurricane.
You can start by having your pet microchipped so it can be identified and returned to you if you get separated during a storm.
Get your pet a locking crate. If it doesn't like it, you may need a bigger one.
A frightened pet might bolt into its secret hiding place. If you decide that you need to evacuate, you might not have time to go searching for your pet.
Keep the pet in a carrier when you're getting in the car. Wind, rain, or flying debris may cause you to drop your pet and it may run away.
Don't leave your pet behind alone.
One of these lessons is in Katrina, is that an evacuation may last longer than you expect.
Most public shelters will not accept pets.
Your vet or local kennel may offer assistance during hurricanes. Now is the time to find out what kennels are available.
Also, before a storm, take a picture of you and your pet alone.
If your pet should get lost during the storm, a photo will be useful in describing your pet into the animal shelter.
The picture of you with the pet will assure workers that the pet is really yours. For Girl TV, I'm Faith.
And I'm Julian.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Kiriani.
And I'm Rachel.
In today's Bold segment, we will be talking about 10 important things that will help keep you alive and safe during a disaster or hurricane. During a hurricane, it's a good idea to have backup supplies.
Here are 12 supplies that we have researched that will keep you and your family safe, prepared, and healthy.
Number 1, water. You will need at least 1 gallon of water a day per person for 3 to 7 days.
An average healthy human can only live 7 to 9 days without water. It also depends on the weather temperature. If you live in a hot climate, you can survive fewer days without water. An average healthy human can live 3 weeks and 2 days exactly without food.
Number 2, food. You will need at least enough food for 3 to 7 days.
This includes non-perishable packaged or canned foods.
Non-perishable means the type of food is packaged in a certain way so that it does not go rotten for a long time.
Non-perishable juices are also a good idea.
Number 3, snack foods. Special foods may be needed for infants or the elderly.
Number 4, a non-electric can opener.
Number 5, paper plates and plastic utensils.
Number 6, blankets and pillows.
Number 7, first aid kit and medicines.
Number 8, toiletries, hygiene items, and moisture wipes.
Number 9, flashlight and batteries. A battery-operated radio would be useful.
Number 10, fully charged cell phone with extra batteries.
Number 11, small bills and credit cards.
Reminder, banks and ATMs may not be available for extended periods of time.
Number 12, pet care items such as proper identification and medications.
A reasonable supply of food and water that best suits your animal health needs. A carrier and cage, if you have one, and a leash.
I hope you learned a lot about how to stay safe during a disaster. For Girl TV, I'm Kiriani.
And I'm Rachel. Bye. Hi, I'm Christine.
And I'm Kiriani.
We're here to talk to you about how to prepare for a hurricane. Some of the things you need to know about hurricane safety are
the kind of supplies you'll need, such as non-perishable food, water, a first aid kit, and a manual.
A battery-powered radio, flashlights, extra batteries, sleeping bags, and extra blankets.
Water purifying supplies such as chlorine or iodine tablets or unscented ordinary household chlorine bleach, prescription medicines, and special medical needs.
Also, baby food and or prepared formula, diapers, and other baby supplies. Disposable cleaning wipes, such as baby wipes for the whole family to use in case bathing facilities are not available.
Expect to need to evacuate and prepare for a disaster. The National Weather Service will issue a hurricane watch when there is a threat to coastal areas of hurricane conditions within 24 to 36 hours.
When a hurricane watch is issued, you should fill your automobile's gas tank. If no vehicle is available, make arrangements with friends or family for transportation.
Fill your clean water containers. Tune in the radio or television for weather updates. Prepare an emergency kit for your car with food, flares, booster cables, maps, and a fire extinguisher.
Secure any items outside which may damage property in a storm, such as grills, outdoor furniture, propane tanks, etc. Cover windows and doors with plywood or boards or large strips of masking tape or adhesive tape in windows to reduce the risk of breakage or flying glass.
I hope you learned a lot about how to stay safe during a hurricane. If a hurricane strikes near you, you'll be prepared. For Girl TV, I'm Christine.
And I'm Karyani.
Bye! Hi, my name is Christine. Today we will be talking about a female hero named Sarah Faulkner. Sarah was recognized as a hero by Glamour magazine. She was part of the Hurricane Katrina crew from the very beginning. After the hurricane, Sarah and her crew got moved to Panama and were put on standby. Sarah was a Coast Guard for 9 years, plus she was an aviation survival technician, 3rd class. She was also an air crew rescue swimmer. She was interviewed once at Lincoln Center. I hope you had fun learning with us today. For Girl TV, I'm Christine. Bye!
Hi, I'm Kiana, and as you know, today's show is all about hurricanes. So today, joining us for our inspiring segment is the Chief Meteorologist at ABC7, Bob Harrigan, who I understand flew into a hurricane.
Kiana, how you doing? Yes, I flew into a hurricane. Now, why would you do that, right? Why would you have a perfectly good plane take it into a hurricane? Well, we did fly into a hurricane in 1996 aboard the Hurricane Hunter aircraft. And also again in 2004, we flew into Hurricane Ivan, which was a bad storm that hit the panhandle of Florida back in 2004.
So what exactly is a hurricane?
Well, a hurricane is basically a swirl of clouds and storms all together with winds greater than 74 miles an hour, and it's found in the tropics. And the hurricane has typically an eye or a center of low pressure, and around that center are a number of storms, rough storms, that swirl around the center, and winds can get as high as 74. It should be as high as 74 and can go as high as 200 miles an hour, and it brings heavy rainfall and lots of problems when they hit land.
Okay, back to you. What did you want to be when you were a kid?
When I was a kid, basically, I wanted to be a fireman. I probably should have stuck with that, by the way. Looking back on it, firefighters do pretty well in this area. But nonetheless, I also had a very keen interest in clouds. And I think we all do, Kiana. We look at every day we go out into the public, we go out into the playgrounds. We want to know if it's going to be okay to play on Saturday or if it's going to be rained out at the ball game on Sunday. So weather's very important to all of us, I think. And basically, when I was a kid, I always looked up at the sky and wondered where those clouds came from and how they got there. So that was the interest that I had when I went to college at the University of Kansas. So studying clouds and trying to figure out what they meant was very important to me.
Mm-hmm. And what exactly did you have to do to become a meteorologist?
To become a meteorologist, well, for one thing, you have to get a degree in atmospheric science at the University of Kansas, where I graduated from. But there are a number of schools that offer the program for becoming a meteorologist. In fact, Tallahassee, Florida State University is one of the top 10 schools in the nation for meteorologists, as well as Penn State, Ohio State, Oklahoma, University of Oklahoma. So there's a number of schools out there that offer meteorology programs. I went to the University of Kansas. Go Jayhawks, good school. Not a very good football program, but good school. But that's the thing. You get a degree in meteorology, and the thing is, for a meteorologist degree, you have to focus on a number of different things. One is physics, which is a difficult subject, but it's lots of math. On top of that, you have to understand chemistry, because chemistry, it's all a part of the atmosphere as well. And those factors, along with being on television now, you have to be able to be a good broadcaster and a communicator. So classes and focusing, or maybe a minor focusing on some of the broadcasting classes, like you guys are doing here at the program that you have right here at Girls Inc.
So what does it mean exactly to be like chief meteorologist?
Chief meteorologist, you wear a hat. You know, it's like a bunch of feathers in it. No, I'm just kidding. No, the thing is, for a chief meteorologist, it's a title that's used at television stations mainly, okay? And what that implies is that he or she is the person that all the other meteorologists kind of rely on in terms of forecasting severe weather. On top of that, they're in charge of administrative duties. But chief forecaster is usually the one that if there's a big storm around, they'll turn to them, that person, to get the real deal as to what the storm may be doing when it comes for a hurricane, for example. By the way, hurricane season continues on for at least another month and a couple of weeks before it's officially over.
Okay. most people don't fully understand what a meteorologist does. So what do you do? Is it mainly used with a computer? Do you like interpret that, or what exactly do you do?
Well, a meteorologist does many different things. For example, there's a meteorologist on the Hurricane Hunter aircraft that I flew in that actually drops these little canisters out the belly of the plane while you're flying into the hurricane, actually. So it's a little interesting. Yeah, there's a hole there, and they send this canister down in it, and in this canister there's numerous weather equipment as far as tools go. You got a thermometer, you have a barometer, a hygrometer, and all sorts of these mometers, right? But what it does is it actually opens up like a parachute, and it floats down into the middle of the storm, and it radios back vital information as to what the storm's doing, so that the computer forecast models can then make a projection as to what the storm is going to do in the future. It's up to the meteorologist to study these models and say, okay, this model's taking it off toward Tampa, this one's taking it off toward Fort Myers, which one is going to be right? And so it's up to the meteorologist to determine which one of those models are behaving correctly or has the right forecast track with the storm. So we do a lot of interpretation of what the computers put out. And that's what a meteorologist's job is. It kind of looks through all the different computer models and says, okay, based on my experience and what I've learned, this model is doing much better in forecasting what the hurricane's going to do as opposed to this one. So we're going to go with this one. So basically it's knowledge and experience that helps us make predictions to protect your lives, by the way. So we're on the front line letting you know what the storm's doing so that you can either evacuate or you can say, it looks like it's not going to hit here. I can, bring it down a little bit as far as my nervousness goes.
And earlier we were talking about the U.S. Weather Service. Can you explain to our viewers what that is?
The National Weather Service is an important tool that everyone uses in all the internet. Everything you see about weather, it all originates from the National Weather Service. The National Weather Service is part of NOAA, National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration. You'll see NOAA, and that's part of the Department of Commerce, but under the umbrella of NOAA is the National Weather Service. And in every state, there is a National Weather Service office. All right, and in those offices they have a radar, their own personal radar that can see out for about 200 miles, 250 miles and detect thunderstorms. And they have meteorologists on staff there, and they monitor the weather. Each day, you don't know this, but each and every day, there is a weather balloon launched at 7 o'clock in the morning and 7 o'clock at night, 2 times a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So lots of balloons going off. Yeah, lots of balloons. And they go up about 10 miles high. Eventually they get so high that they implode. A parachute comes out and they supposedly float back to Earth. And there's a box about this big, and in that box is where all the weather equipment is. Again, the tools that we use. The tools are thermometer, barometer, hygrometer, and anemometer. All those things right there. They measure wind speed, temperature, air pressure, and many other things as far as humidity goes as well. So that's what the National Weather Service does, and all that information is put into the computer again, and the forecasts come out based on that information. But the National Weather Service controls most of the weather as far as projections and predictions.
And what's your favorite thing about your job?
Favorite thing about my job is that are we on? No, just kidding. The favorite thing about my job is basically getting the forecast right so that people who have made plans don't get rained on. And when that happens, I'm a pretty happy camper. But when it comes to weather, you aren't always right all the time. And that's one thing about my job. If you're a doctor, or if you're a firefighter, or if you're a lawyer, you want to be right all the time, right? But meteorologists, because it's not an exact science, meaning that we know that 2 + 2 is 4. Well, in weather forecasting, we're not always going to be right, because there's always going to be something that could cause that weather forecast to go wrong. Maybe the weather balloon didn't work that day, or maybe the thermometer was reading wrong data and put that into the computer. So the computer projects that along into the future, that error, and that error only gets bigger. So our forecasts then become faulty, or line with errors. So I don't like that aspect of it, but I do like it when we do get a forecast right, and we do that over 80% of the time, so which is pretty good. Another thing I like about my job is the fact that I'm able to go out and meet a lot of people, interesting people throughout the community, in speaking engagements that I do, which you have to do a lot of when you're on-air personality, and you get to meet a lot of interesting people in the community and kind of see who they are, because you don't get to see them when you're on television, so you get to go out and actually see the people who are watching you.
How long have you been a meteorologist?
I've been a meteorologist for over 25 years now, 25 years, so I'm just about done.
The government economists expect job growth for meteorology to be faster than the other careers in about 2018. How does that make you feel about the safety of your job?
You're saying that, let me try to figure out what you're saying. You're saying that the economists are saying that the meteorology positions will be filled by 2018. There won't be that many jobs available for meteorologists. Is that what they're saying?
Right.
Well, I've always known that. I mean, that's why I stress to people in the world of broadcast meteorology anyway, that there's not a lot of jobs out there. If you think about how many doctors' jobs there are, or teachers there are in this world, in just the United States alone, there are over 1 million teachers, 1 million doctors, millions of doctors out there in the United States. Well, how many broadcast meteorologists are there in the United States? About 5,000. That's it. Not many broadcast meteorologists at all. So as far as the jobs go, I think there will always be jobs available for meteorologists, but children, students have to understand that there are other things that you can do besides being on television saying it's going to be nice and sunny out here today, or the storms are coming. There's other things you can do. I have friends that actually predict how the orange crops are going to do. For people who invest in futures, it's called, okay? So they say, oh, the orange crop's going to be good, so that means that the orange prices will be lower. So they know that, so they kind of bet on that. Another thing is I have friends that actually have been on the board there and worked over at NASA, predicting the weather for some of the launches that go on. And there's meteorologists that work in the research aspect of it as well. In Hurricane Hunter aircraft, they fly into that. So there's other jobs, pollution meteorology. There's meteorologists who actually study pollution around large industrial plants, for that matter, to see if that company is polluting the atmosphere and keeping an eye on that. So yes, there's other jobs than just being on the air talking about weather.
Is it a good time for women to get into the field of meteorology?
Well, right now in broadcast meteorology, it's excellent for women to be in that field. Lots and lots of more people are being hired for broadcast meteorologists, especially women. For one, they look a lot better than I do. I mean, secondly, they now have the knowledge and the education in meteorology. There's a lot more women going into the field of meteorology, and that's a great thing because on top of the fact that they look great on television, they can give a great forecast as well. Years ago, 30 years ago, there were women who did weather, but they didn't have the knowledge behind them as far as meteorology. But now they have now caught up, so to speak, in the field of meteorology. So they've got that going for them, so they have a lot more opportunity in the broadcast world as broadcast meteorologists on television. So I would say yes, they have a better opportunity right now in the world of broadcasting as far as broadcast meteorologists go.
Well, thank you for your time. That was very interesting.
Thank you, I appreciate it, and I appreciate everyone out there watching ABC 7.
For Gold TV, I'm Kiana. Bye.